Chocolate mousse is fairly easy to make, but it does require a few steps. And some of these steps we have on past videos. So if you want to go ahead and check some of those out, you can see our video on making a meringue and also our video on with some tips about whipping cream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here by melting some chocolate and some butter. I have 2 cups of chocolate and a stick of butter I'm going to put over a double boiler. A double boiler can be made simply out of a bowl and a little saucepan like this. The big trick is to not touch the bottom of the bowl with the water. So just a little bit of water in there and a little steam or a little air gap in between is going to do you real well. So we'll just put the chocolate and the butter over this double boiler until it melts. Meanwhile, we have a meringue here, and the meringue has been made out of 5 egg whites here, and I've whipped it to soft peaks. I also have a half a cup of cream that I whipped and I didn't sweeten. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of vanilla in here, just for a little flavor. And we'll just wait for this chocolate to melt. If you put chocolate right over a direct flame, it has a tendency to burn really, really fast. So I wouldn't do that. I would do it over this double boiler here. It's a much more gentle way of heating this chocolate. Now that our chocolate and butter have melted over this double boiler, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a big bowl of ice and I'm going to cool it down. One, because I want it to be a little cooler when I whip these or fold these ingredients into it, the cream and the egg whites, but also because I'm going to add some egg yolks to it, and I don't want those to scramble. The egg yolks add a little bit of richness, but they also add some body to this. So now that my chocolate's cooled down, I'll go ahead and I'll add these egg yolks. I like to add them a little at a time here, so I'll stir it up a little and add a little, stir it in, and add a little bit more. Make sure to get all of that yolk out of this container here because it's really going to add a lot of richness and some body. Now when it comes to folding ingredients together, I like to make them about the same consistency. So what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of this whipped meringue here and I'll just sort of stir it in. I won't worry about folding right now. I'll stir it into this chocolate. And what that does is it makes my chocolate a little fluffier. So now that I have this, I'll just add a little bit of this chocolate to my egg white. And I'll go ahead and fold this together. Now this takes some practice and it also takes some time, but you really want to be patient here. You want to just follow this little pattern here of picking up a little bit and folding it over back on top of itself. Because if you rush this process here, that's when you're going to let all that air come out that you worked so hard to put in. You could use all whipped cream instead of a meringue, especially if you don't want to make a meringue. But the meringue makes it so that there's not as much fat in this. It also gives it a little bit of a different fluffiness. I like to use both because the cream gives some richness and the meringue keeps the fat lower. It's not low fat, but it keeps the fat lower, and it also gives it sort of more of a marshmallowy texture. And the last thing we're going to add here is this cream. I've whipped this cream to a soft whip here, and I'll just go ahead and add it in and fold it in just like I did those egg whites. This time we're going to fold it until all of the white streaks disappear so that it's completely blended in. You can eat this right away, but it does help a little bit to chill it in the refrigerator. It's really fluffy right now when you eat it, but it's going to stay basically as fluffy when you chill it, but it's also going to have a little bit more stability, so it's not going to fall apart like pudding. It's going to be a little bit stiffer. And that helps for making things like Napoleons or layered desserts. So here we have a fairly uncomplicated, really tasty dessert. A little chocolate mousse with whipped cream and strawberries.